Well, today we're here with this 2011 Honda Ridgeline, and as you can see, if we look with the camera here, one of the odd features about the Ridgeline is the cab to the bed has this trim that comes down on this angle, and it's pretty inconvenient for truck railings, for bed rails. So the camera's going to follow us over here. Most of the rails are very expensive, and roof racks as well. Could cost around $1,000 for both. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do it very cheaply, and I wanted to share with you to maybe help you out as well. So if you want to follow the method that I did, you can perhaps make it even better than I am doing. One really helpful thing, you're going to need an M8 1.25 pitch screw, bolt I mean, and I got the 150 millimeter size. That's about 5.9 inches. You're going to need 4 of these, 2 for each side. And then this one here, this is an M6 1.00 pitch, and this is 130 millimeters, which is around 5 inches, or 5.1 inches. And I'll show you why these screws are pretty vital to getting this to work. This is the first post of the rails that I've set up prior to filming to make sure I could get it the right way. And as you'll see, I have a 1x3 against the bed, the bed wall, and it goes up, and there are 2 screws, 2 bolts in the back of this, and then I have a 2x3 in front of the 1x3. So my 6-inch or 150 millimeter M8s are going up here, and my M6 is down at the bottom. And I'm going to demonstrate on the other side how this all comes together. Alright, so my Ridgeline came with these hangers attached to it, these brackets, and they're held in by these hexagon. You need a T50 to get these off. A T50 hex attachment for your ratchet set. Down at the bottom here, this one is a T30. Now these are the holes that the M8s are going to go into, and the M6 is going to go down here. Now the reason these were so long is I had to clear this trim piece, so I have to have the boards all the way out a few inches to get past this this trim. Now what I did, I took my 1x3, I put some paint on the ends of these things, on the ends of the bolts. There's the dog. And then I just held this up here to make sure that I was, you know, I marked the boards here where my holes are going to go through with some paint at the end of my bolts. Alright, so here are the holes that I drilled after I marked them with paint. Now I've got this on top of my 1x3. I'm going to drill in here. I'll mark each one. And then the bottom. So here we go. Now I'll just drill straight through. Now I wasn't able to get this hole or any of the holes exactly to line up perfectly. So what I did, I gave myself a little wiggle room. And again, I'm not an expert carpenter. You'll probably do this a lot more accurate than I did. Now I'm using a 7/8 hole borer to just make it that I can put a washer around here and have the head of the bolt even with the body of the wood. And I meant to do this first before I drilled the hole fully, which I did on the other board, but I forgot to do this time on this step. Okay, and these boards I painted with black fence post paint to keep them waterproof. So down here, this little port for the screw to go in is about 1 inch deep. So I'm going to make a little washer, so to speak, just so when I screw in my bolts, the wood pulls against the washer. I'm just using a little piece of PVC piping I had lying around. So the bottom one's 1 inch. And the top one here, 1.25 inches, because this bottom part of the bed mold sticks out farther than the top. So I'll measure 1.5 inches. I'm sorry, 1.25 inches over here. And I will need 2 of those because we have 2 bolts up at the top. Now, we're going to take our screws, we're going to assemble the foundation, the M6 at the bottom, a little paint on there in those holes that I just dug. So the M6 goes here. That's going to go through this. Then I'll put my washer on this end. And we'll do the same thing up top with the M8s. Washer. Feed it through both boards. Washer, feed it through both boards, and then I'll put these on just to keep everything flush. Now, as I said, I have a little bit of wiggle room so I can line up all these bolts with these existing threads. Now we're going to tighten it up and circulate through. If I tighten one too much before the other ones, it can get out of alignment and bind up a little bit. Speed things up a little with our and then you can see up at the top here there's a gap because the bottom of the bed liner sticks out about another, I'd say, 1/2 inch or so from the top. So this little setup here, as I mentioned, is the foundation. The current progress on the rail bed, I've got 2 rails set up here. And I'm building this before I show you how to do the other side, just to make sure it's working. I've got some of these joist angles here. And this was really the only way that I could figure out how to mount this rear post in, but as you can see, it's sturdy enough. So over on this side, the corner of the rear of the bed of the Ridgeline came again with these brackets installed. So with my T50 hexagon, I unscrewed the bolts here. I drilled 2 holes wide enough for my bolt to fit through there. Now this is going to sit right on here, like so. So that's what this is going to look like. Reattach these bolts here, T50 hex, and I've got the joist hanger there, the angle. I'm going to do the bottom one now. Now I've circled the area that I need to drill out there with my marker. I'm going to drill that out, and then I'll attach this one as well. Okay, I'm back, and notice that the shorter side is the side that I put the holes onto. Now I'm doing that on purpose because when I attach this and I slide my board down, I'm going to take a hammer and tap this edge so it straightens out to a more of like a 90-degree angle against that board. I'm going to look here at the finished side, and one of the problems is that the bed of the Ridgeline has a convenient feature, but for rails it's a little problematic. The top of the bed opens along this seam, and that's where the spare tire and storage is hidden. And so you can't just put a 2x4 out here, otherwise it's going to block the seam and the bed will not be able to open up. So you're going to have to cut out a little section here to slide the board over so you clear this seam. And so on this board, I've cut this out here, and now when I put this in, you'll see that it barely clears. I may have to trim this edge, this corner off a little bit. Here's what the finished bed rails look like. I've got up on top a longer board running down a little bit over the rear of the cab, so I can lay some 8-footers or 10-foot planks or boards on there. I didn't record myself putting these on because they're pretty self-explanatory. The main thing is just getting your 2 posts at the rear and at the front secured, and then you can pretty much do whatever you'd like. The wire from that old refrigerator worked out perfect. There's no give in this. It's nice and secure, nice and sturdy. It doesn't bend. And then up at the top, I just drilled the board in up here and on top here, and then this one I'm leaving free, I'm leaving open, and whenever I do need to pick up some long boards, I'll just drill in temporarily a cross piece that lines up. Now the one problem that I've discovered is that when I'm driving like this, the front boards create some type of wind resistance that creates an odd sound when I'm in the cab. It kind of sounds like a window is down. You hear that vibration. So I'm going to have to tweak those boards a little bit. But overall, it's a real simple way to affordably have a roof rack and a rail bed that gives you the benefit of things to tie onto, protect your window, and carry boards, planks when needed. So save yourself $1,000 and gather some pieces of wood that you have lying around in your junk piles on your property. Turn it into some functional bed rails.